I never thought I'd be the guy posting something like this, but here I am. My name's Jake, and I've been with my wife, Lisa, for about 5 years now. We got married last summer, and I thought we had a good thing going. We had our ups and downs like any couple, but overall, I believed we were solid. That is, until our anniversary getaway. It's funny, looking back, there were little signs, long hours at work, her phone never leaving her side, but I brushed it off. I figured she was just busy or maybe hiding something because she was stressed about her job. So we planned this weekend trip to a cozy cabin in the mountains. It was supposed to be just us, a relaxing break from our hectic lives. I was excited, looking forward to reconnecting, maybe rekindling what we had. But from the moment we got there, things felt off. Lisa was more distant than usual, snapping at me for little things, quick to brush me off when I tried to talk. She kept checking her phone, hiding it even more than usual. Honestly, I thought maybe she was just tired or anxious about work, but something about her tone and her eyes, there was a flicker of guilt or something else hiding beneath her cool exterior. I couldn't quite put my finger on it. The first real red flag came when I went to the bathroom and saw her phone lying on the nightstand. I wasn't snooping, I swear. I just glanced at it because I noticed she kept getting notifications and her screen was unlocked. That's when I saw it. A string of texts from someone named Alex, which I didn't recognize. The messages weren't explicit, but they were flirtatious enough. Things like "can't wait to see you tonight" and "thinking of you all day." She had sent a lot of messages over the past few weeks, all timestamped during work hours. My stomach dropped. I felt a weird mix of anger, betrayal, and confusion. I didn't even know how to process it. I kept quiet that night, just watching her, trying to figure out the next move. I knew that look in her eyes. She was hiding something, and I was going to find out what. When she finally went to sleep, I snuck out of bed and looked through her phone more carefully. That when I saw the real bombshell. There were dozens of messages with a woman named Rachel, talking about plans to meet, for sex, and even discussing moving in together. Moving in together, I couldn't believe it. My wife was planning a life with another man, right under my nose. I sat there in the dark holding her phone, feeling like my world was crumbling. I think I knew then that everything I believed about our marriage was a lie. And yet, I didn't confront her right away. I needed time to process the shock. I felt numb but also furious. How long had she been lying? How many of our supposed plans, our memories, were just a facade? I started realizing this wasn't just a fling or some one-time mistake. It was something serious, something she had been hiding for months. The blatant lies, the secret plans, the sneaking around, it all hit me like a punch in the gut. I knew I couldn't ignore it anymore. I had to confront her, but I also knew that the fireworks were just beginning. The next morning, I woke up feeling like I'd been hit by a truck. My mind was racing, replaying those messages over and over. I couldn't get the image of her sitting there, planning to move in with someone else, out of my head. I kept wondering how long she'd been doing this behind my back, how many times she had lied to me, smiling, pretending everything was fine. I couldn't even look her in the eyes when she woke up. She seemed normal, maybe even a little more cheerful than usual, which only made my stomach churn. She's good at hiding her true feelings, that bitch. I decided I couldn't keep pretending I didn't know. I needed to confront her, but I had to do it carefully. I didn't want her to bolt or destroy evidence, so I took a deep breath, grabbed her phone, and went out to sit on the porch. I needed to see if she was going to slip up or if I was just overthinking it. Honestly, I was battling a tsunami of emotions. Anger, hurt, betrayal, mixed with a strange sense of clarity that I'd never felt before. This wasn't just a mistake. This was a complete betrayal of everything we'd built. When she came outside, I just stared at her. She looked at me with that bitchy smirk, like she knew she was smarter than me, like she was in control. I finally broke the silence. "Who is Alex, Lisa?" Her face froze for a second, then she rolled her eyes and threw that fake, innocent look on her face. "What are you talking about? I don't know any Alex." Her voice was too sweet, too dismissive, trying to brush me off, act like I was crazy. But I had all the proof right there in her messages. I showed her her phone, and her eyes quickly darted away. That was a mistake. She tried to lie, saying, "It's nothing, just some work friend, that's all." But I wasn't buying it. I saw how she fidgeted, how her face changed. I told her I knew about the plans, about moving in together, about her secret affair. Her reaction was instant. She started to get defensive, yelling, calling me crazy, saying I was paranoid and insecure. She said she loved me, that I was overreacting, that I was just jealous. She even tried to gaslight me, telling me I was imagining things, that she'd never cheat on me, that I was making a huge deal out of nothing. I couldn't believe her. I felt a mix of rage and heartbreak. How had I missed the signs? How could she deny everything even when I had her messages right in front of her? I was furious, but I also felt broken inside. I knew I shouldn't have been surprised, but I still couldn't believe she'd lie so blatantly. I told her I was done, that I couldn't trust her anymore, that I needed space. She just sneered and said, "You're overreacting. You always make a big deal out of nothing." That's when it hit me. She was just playing her game, trying to manipulate me into doubting myself. The whole confrontation left me drained. I felt like I'd been punched in the gut, and I didn't know what to do next. I wanted to yell, to scream, to tear her apart, but I also just wanted to run far away and forget this ever happened. But I knew I couldn't ignore it. I had to face the truth. My wife, the woman I loved, had been fucking her boss and planning to leave me for him. Right before our wedding photos, she was already making plans to start a new life with another man. I kept asking myself if I was just naive, if I missed all the signs, or if I was stupid for trusting her. The betrayal hit me harder than I expected. My mind kept swirling with questions. How could she do this? Why did she lie so convincingly? Did she ever love me? It was a lot to process, and I knew the worst was yet to come. After that confrontation, I basically shut down for a few days. I didn't answer calls or texts from her, barely spoke to anyone. I just sat there, replaying everything over and over, her lies, her sneaky behavior, those damn messages, and that confidence she had in covering her tracks. I couldn't believe I was married to someone so manipulative, so willing to throw everything away for a quick fuck and some new life with her boss. The more I thought about it, the more I realized how deeply she had lied. She'd been stringing me along for months, pretending everything was normal, pretending she loved me. I started to see the pattern now. The secret nights out, the late hours working late, her sudden need for privacy, her always being on her phone. It all made sense now. She'd been planning her escape, and I was just the fool who didn't see it coming. The worst part, she still acted like she was the victim. When I finally told her I was done, she threw a fit, saying I was overreacting, that she loved me, that I was accusing her of something she hadn't done. Like she had any right to call herself innocent after what I found. I knew I had to do something. I couldn't just let her walk away with my life, my heart, and my trust. So I started gathering evidence, screenshots of the messages, her flight plans, hotel reservations she'd made with him, all of it. I wanted proof to make her see how bad she'd screwed up, but honestly, I was also doing it for myself. I needed to be sure I wasn't losing my mind. I needed to have something concrete when I finally confronted her again. I also reached out to a private investigator, just to be sure I wasn't missing anything. I told him to track her phone, see if she was meeting up with him, or any other guys for that matter. While I waited for the info, I couldn't help but feel a mix of anger, heartbreak, and a strange sense of clarity. I started thinking about all the moments I missed, the signs I ignored, the times I brushed her off because I didn't want to believe she could do this. I felt so stupid for trusting her, for thinking we had something real. When I finally saw the Pie's report, it confirmed everything I feared. She was in contact with him almost daily, planning to leave, talking about their future and building a life together. The pictures of her meeting him at a hotel room made me sick to my stomach. That was the last straw. I knew then I couldn't stay silent anymore. I called her and told her I had all the evidence. That's when she started her typical manipulative act, crying, saying she didn't mean it, that she loved me too much, that she was just stressed, that I was being paranoid. But I wasn't buying it anymore. I told her I knew everything and I was done with her lies. I told her I was going to tell my family, my friends, everyone who needed to know what kind of person she really was. I felt a strange sense of relief that I finally had the truth, but the pain was still there. Deep down, I knew I was about to lose the woman I thought I married, and that was a hit I wasn't sure I could recover from. After I laid out all the evidence on the table, screenshots, hotel reservations, the Pie's report, her face twisted into this mixture of anger and panic. She tried to deny everything at first, spinning some bullshit about how I was jealous, insecure, and overreacting. She called me crazy and said I was projecting my insecurities onto her. But I just looked at her and said, "Lisa, I have the proof. I know you've been planning to leave me for your boss. How long have you been lying to me?" Her eyes darted around and she finally broke down, crying and screaming about how it's not what it looks like, and how she was under so much stress, and she just needed a change. Honestly, hearing her lie so effortlessly made me want to scream. I felt like I was talking to a stranger, someone I never knew. All those years, all those memories, and it was all just a facade. I told her I was done, that I couldn't do this anymore, and that I was leaving. That day, I packed a bag and left her there in that house, her crying and begging, telling me I was overreacting. I didn't want to hear it. I just walked out, feeling numb but also a strange sense of relief. I didn't want to be with someone who could betray me like that, someone who thought she could just lie her way out of it. In the days that followed, the initial shock wore off, and the reality hit me like a ton of bricks. I started to feel the full weight of her betrayal. I'd trusted her with everything, my feelings, my future, my life, and she'd thrown it all away for a fling, for her boss, for some pathetic notion of excitement. I couldn't sleep. I kept seeing her face, her lies, her sneering expression when she denied everything. I kept questioning myself. How did I miss all the signs? Was I too blind? Did I love her so much that I ignored what was right in front of me? It's a hell of a thing to realize the person you loved most in the world has been fucking someone else behind your back. But I also knew I couldn't just sit there drowning in sorrow. I started thinking about what I wanted to do next. I knew I wouldn't stay in that house. No way I was going to let her continue her life with her new guy, acting like I didn't exist. I contacted a lawyer, started the process of separation, and made sure to get a good amount of evidence to protect my interests. I also reached out to my family and friends, telling them what had happened. Some were supportive, some were angry at her, but all of them agreed she'd betrayed me in the worst way possible. Deep down, part of me still hoped for some kind of reconciliation, but I knew better. Trust was broken, and I couldn't see how I could ever look at her the same way again. I was hurt, humiliated, and furious, but I also felt a strange sense of clarity coming over me. I realized I had to accept that sometimes. No matter how much you love someone, they can still choose to walk away and do something terrible. And I wasn't going to be the one left holding the pieces of a shattered marriage. So I committed to moving on, no matter how much it hurt, because staying with her would have meant accepting her lies and her betrayal. And I wasn't about to do that. The separation process wasn't easy, but it was necessary. I made sure everything was documented, any financial exchanges, the house, her plans with her boss, and kept my focus on protecting myself. The hardest part was the emotional fallout. I kept replaying everything in my head, wondering how someone I loved could turn into this cold, manipulative person. I felt betrayed, humiliated, and honestly, a little embarrassed that I'd been so blind. I kept asking myself if I could ever forgive her, or if I'd just become another guy who got played and left in the dust. Over time, I started to see a pattern, how she'd lied to everyone, including her closest friends and family, acting innocent and hurt when I confronted her. She played the victim so convincingly that some people actually believed her tears and apologies, but I wasn't buying it anymore. I knew the truth, and I had proof that she'd been planning her escape for months. That realization, brutal as it was, helped me gain some clarity. I couldn't rebuild trust, and I didn't want to be with someone who saw me as nothing more than a backup option while she chased her fantasies. I also learned something important during all this: the value of boundaries and self-respect. I started focusing on myself, on my mental health. I joined a gym, talked to a therapist, and leaned on my friends for support. I realized I deserved better than a wife who would cheat and lie so effortlessly. My biggest lesson: Never ignore the signs, and don't let anyone manipulate you into thinking their lies are normal. Trust is fragile, and once it's broken, it's almost impossible to repair. I told myself I'd never let someone treat me that way again, no matter how much I loved them. Eventually, I moved out of the house, got a new place, and started putting my life back together. It wasn't about revenge anymore. It was about reclaiming who I was and rebuilding my confidence. I still think about her sometimes, about how someone could be so callous, so selfish. But I refuse to let her betrayal define me. What I want now is peace, truth, honesty, and someone who genuinely cares. I want to warn other guys out there. If you notice strange behavior, trust your gut. Don't ignore the signs and don't stay silent, because once the trust is gone, it's almost impossible to get back. Looking back, I think I've become stronger because of this. I'm not perfect, and I still get angry sometimes. But I've learned that betrayal is the end of the world. If anything, it's an opportunity to start over, to learn how to spot the bullshit early, and to never let anyone treat you like a doormat again. It's a hard lesson, but it's one I needed to learn the hard way. And honestly, I hope this story helps someone else who's going through the same thing. Because nobody deserves to be played like that, and nobody should ever settle for a partner who lies and cheats behind their back. Now, I spend a lot of time reflecting on everything that happened. It's been a brutal journey, no doubt, but I've come to realize that betrayal cuts deep, and healing takes time. I've learned to be more cautious, more aware of the red flags I used to ignore. I've also learned that no matter how much you love someone, you can't fix someone who doesn't want to be fixed, and you shouldn't waste your life trying. What really sticks with me is how fragile trust is and how quickly it can be shattered. I used to believe marriage was about loyalty, honesty, and standing by each other through everything. Now I see it's also about respect, respect that you give and get. If those aren't there, then everything falls apart. I don't hate Lisa, I just see her for what she truly was, someone who prioritized her own desires over the vows she made. That realization hurts, but it also frees me. Moving on hasn't been easy. There are days when I still feel the sting of betrayal, when I wonder if I'll ever fully trust again. But I remind myself that I've survived, and I've learned lessons that I'll carry with me for the rest of my life. I've become more aware of what I want and what I refuse to tolerate. I've cut out the people who don't bring genuine value to my life, and I've started to see myself as someone who deserves honesty and loyalty, not lies and betrayal. If I could give any advice to someone reading this who's going through a similar situation, it would be this: trust your gut. Don't ignore the small signs. When something feels off, it probably is. Protect yourself, emotionally, financially, physically, and never be afraid to walk away from someone who doesn't respect you. The pain might be intense at first, but in the end, it's better to be alone than to be with someone who doesn't value you. This experience has changed me, no doubt. I'll never be naive again, and I'll never allow myself to be so vulnerable to someone who might betray me. But I also know I've grown stronger. I've reclaimed my sense of self and my confidence. And maybe, just maybe, I'll find someone someday who truly deserves my trust, someone who won't lie, cheat, or betray me. Until then, I'll keep rebuilding, learning, and moving forward. Because life is too short to waste on people who don't see your worth.